What if the very setback you are fighting right now is secretly your springboard? What if stuck is just the loading screen before your next level? So, hey everyone, this is your host Avik here, and you are listening to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life, the podcast where we turn big ideas into everyday momentum. And today we are diving into the momentum mindset framework with someone who doesn't just talk about resilience, he architects it. Yes. So please welcome my guest, Dr. Samuel Jones. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Avik. Glad to be here with you.
Amazing. So, dear listeners, before we delve deep into the discussion, I would love to introduce you with Dr. Samuel. So, Dr. Samuel is an award-winning keynote speaker, author of Momentum Mindset, like how to turn setbacks into success, and a leadership coach who helps people convert adversity into advantage. So, he is known for stories that land in your gut and strategies that actually move the needle. And he grew up in tough conditions, refused to let that define him, and has spent his career helping leaders and the teams to do the same, to find the clarity, build resilience, and create unstoppable momentum. So why we are waiting for, right? So let's get started. Welcome to the show, Weekend Zones.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Amazing. So, Dr. Samuel, when you meet someone who says that I am overwhelmed and I'm stuck, where do you start? I mean, what's the very first small or maybe doable action in the momentum mindset framework that converts friction into the forward motion?
Absolutely. Well, the first thing is helping people to really locate themselves, right? Because, it takes great awareness for transformation to start. And most of the time, people have not located themselves. And so in the momentum mindset framework, we have something called the pyramid of possibilities. And what we like to help clients do is locate themselves, because a lot of times they don't realize that they have more faith in some myths that are really, really not true. And so we take them through a process to help them better understand, are you believing something true right now, or are you believing a myth?
Exactly. So, how do you help them measure the progress in days, like not months, so that they feel momentum rather than chasing the perfection?
Right. So I think the major key is, once you help them locate themselves, then helping them to shift from that myth to something true. For example, sometimes people have a myth that things will never change, right? And they truly believe that. And so when you believe things will never change, what you're saying is you will never change. And so when we can help people locate that that's not true, it's only true because that's what you believe. So things will change when we change how we respond to change. And so we start helping clients to just tweak small things in their lives, because momentum all starts in these small moments. And so if you can build moments, then you can create the momentum.
Mm-hmm. True, exactly. And I love that, because the tiny levers, big lift. And what I'm hearing, you're right, like momentum is not about the intensity. It's all about the repeatable signals that tell your brain that we are moving. That alone lowers anxiety and obviously raises the agency that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so when we can start creating that confidence, right? Because confidence gives you clarity. And a lot of time people are stuck in chaos because they don't have the clarity.
Mm. Exactly. So for the listeners, please bookmark that. Start with the smallest action that you will actually repeat, right? Yeah. So, yeah. And also reframing is really powerful, right? But it can sound like a spin. So how do you help a leader who is, to reframe a painful setback without minimizing kind of real harm or complexity? So what do you have to say?
Well, I think from there is, I love the part you talked about reframing. And so, for example, if something happened in the past that traumatized you, right? How can you use that trauma to transform you? And one of the ways we help clients, we have something called the 3 time zones. And so we get them to look back in the past, and the past is one of those time zones. And so we put it on a scale, and we say, okay, on the top of the scale, are you going back to the past and getting blame, excuses? Are you in denial? Or are you going back to the past and getting some valuable lessons of gratitude and where your thankfulness and the lessons that you learn? And so that scale really helps clients to see, okay, I'm in the time zone of the past, but you can see the difference of what type of content are you pulling from the past. And so I think when people can realize that it's okay to go back to the past, but what are you bringing forward from the past? It's either going to help you put you on the path of where you want to be, or it's going to harm you and keep you stuck where you are.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, like, what's a kind of question that you ask that transforms blame into the ownership while also honoring the wound?
I think it's important to ask questions like, what does this current moment require of you? Right? And so it helps you to be present in the current moment. I think one of the biggest myths that we've had, I know I had as myself, is I had this myth that experience is the best teacher.
Yeah.
Right. And you may have heard that, and some people still say that. And what I've realized, and what I'm helping clients to realize now, is that experience is not the best teacher. Your best teacher is the moment that you're currently in. And so if we can help clients to see the moment that they're currently in, every moment requires something different. Now, we can bring lessons from our experience, but this moment right here, for example, this podcast interview that I'm having with you, right? This is the first conversation you and we've ever had. Surely I've done podcast interviews before. You've interviewed guests before, but guess what? There are some things that you've learned, but this current moment that we're both in right now requires something different. And both of us are just allowing this moment to teach us, even though we're bringing experiences from the past, but how we're having this conversation right now, these moments are leading the conversation. You know, what you're asking me is based on what I'm responding with, and what I'm responding with is based on what is speaking to me right now in this current moment. And so that's how we're building this momentum, even just in this conversation that neither one of us have ever had, even though we've done this before.
Very well said. Yes, definitely. Yeah, I mean, that distinction matters. I mean, the honest pain, honest power, and you're not asking people to deny reality, right? You are asking them to widen it. So, listeners, please notice the move is like validate, extract learning, then the kind of operationalize. That's the momentum, not the mental gymnastics, right? So,
Absolutely. And listen, I love what you just said. You said widen your options. And that's what we have to do, because most of the time when people feel like they have limited amount of resources, that's when they panic. That's when they stress. That's when they have anxiety. But when you can widen your options of your resources and your ideas and your network, etc., now you really believe anything is possible, because you can see it, because you have access to more resources.
yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to ask you about the trifecta. So, in your book, you emphasize that clarity as a kind of momentum multiplier. Practically, how do you help someone align the purpose, priorities, and pace so they stop grinding and start gliding?
Great question. So one of the biggest things is we're helping clients to create a system of thinking, right? Because when you can create a system of thinking, now you can move to the next level of creating a system. And the system aligns with your support. So for example, right, so in the book, we talk about we talk about 3 outcomes that all of our work aligns with. And it's adaptive thinking, adaptive aligning, and adaptive doing. And so when the foundational piece is when we can get our thinking in line of what we say we want, the direction we want to go, the results that we want, now we have to align our actions with the thinking. And that's adaptive aligning. And then, of course, everything that we do needs to be based on that thinking. And so the biggest thing is helping just getting our clients and leaders to be more curious, because it takes energy to think. It takes presence to be curious. When we already think we have the answers from our past experiences, right? We don't change, we don't adapt, we don't modify anything. But when we can get curious, and that's where that clarity comes in. And so if you can help, and I mean to all your listeners out there, if you can get aligned with some type of system thinking to help you to reframe how you think and just realign everything else around that, then you'll start seeing that momentum.
Exactly true. Also, right, what would you say to the hustle maximalists, like who argue that pace should always be kind of aggressive, that slowing down is just fear in disguise?
Yeah, I would say that most of the time fear comes from a place of inexperience and the unknown. And I can remember in my life when I was afraid to slow down because I'd gotten so used to caught up just ripping and running and grinding and all of those kinds of things. But I really found myself just running in place because I didn't have a system for thinking. I didn't have anything to guide me, a framework for thinking. And so everything that I was doing has just kept me in this vicious cycle. And so, when challenges come or storms come up in your life and problems show up, that's the time to reset and just realize how you're in motion. And so for anyone that's thinking you have to grind, I don't think life was designed for us to grind. I think life was designed for us to fulfill our purpose. And so when you're on purpose and in purpose, the grinding goes away. I mean, the rigmarole of what you do every single day, that's still there, but it's not hard work, and it shouldn't be hard work. Right? Because you're focused on your thinking and you're in line with your purpose. And so I realized when I was out of alignment with my purpose, yes, I was grinding, I was running, I was grinding, right? But when I found my purpose and started working in purpose, everything became much easier. It's like it's effortless. I'm creative now and everything is aligned. And so all of my collaborations is aligned. And so it just makes, yes, it's work, but it's not light work and you're working out of your purpose.
Exactly. So, definitely that's really strong. Like speed that's misaligned is just a kind of noise.
You're right. And the thing about it, Avik, we get so used to just all the noise and just ripping and running and doing everything that everybody else is doing. And so the crazy thing is when you slow down, and I was forced to slow down a couple of years ago because I eased into a bout of depression. And that depression, it really forced me to become more present in my work, present with my purpose, and present with the people that I was working with. And once I realized that I did that for myself, then we created this system to help leaders and teams and organizations do that for themselves, because they were some of my clients, they had a strategist mindset. And they just hit a ceiling and they said, this is good enough, because they had gotten complacent. And that's how some of us we get so complacent in grinding all the time when we don't realize, why don't we just commit to a system for a strategy and a system and support that's going to help us to think differently, align differently, and more importantly, take different actions.
Very true. Yep.
Yeah.
So and like I mentioned, so I really appreciate like how you differentiate capacity from capability. Like when we right size our pace, we preserve the engine and win the race that actually matters, right? So that's the one for sure.
Absolutely, and and that was the biggest issue that I had, and that's what I'm having with clients now is, we're focused, and sometimes we focus on things really, really that don't matter, but we make them matter to us because we put our focus on it and we put our energy into it. And so, what I'm helping leaders do now with the moment of mindset is to take notice of what are the things that you say matter. And then when people really get present and they see they're putting their focus on it, they're putting their time in it, they're putting their energy in it, they realize, you know what? I realize this doesn't matter as much as it should matter, but I'm putting all my time, effort, and energy into it. Okay, now let's hit the reset. Okay, what really matters? Now let's compare how much time, effort, and energy are you put into the things that really matter. And so it's that shift that we all need to make, and that's where the true momentum starts. But it starts in these moments of becoming more aware, accepting the awareness of what you will become aware of, and then adapting going forward.
True.
Yep.
And also, I'd love to ask you about these setbacks, which is a kind of strategy, right? Like when a major plan collapses, or maybe lost funding, failed launch, how do you help the people bounce forward rather than merely bounce back? So, what do you think?
Absolutely, and I think that's a great time to call a timeout, right? So it's identify, what did you do? What lessons do you learn? Where did you put all your resources? Did you need people on the team that wasn't on the team? Right? That's a time to take stock of what really happened. A lot of times organizations and leaders, they don't do that, right? We just come up with our opinions of what we think, and then we take what we think and we decide to go forward with what we think. When did we really take time to take stock as to what really happened? Do we really understand how did we get that result? Do we really understand what did my team members know and did not know? See, all of these things there, that's how you decide how you're going to move forward. But we make everything so we get used to our own opinions and we don't ask the questions. So it's about having a system in place to help you to think through, okay, what do these results really say? On the surface, these results say, you know what, we failed. But let's go deeper. How did we fail? Did we have the right resources? Did we have, because sometimes people are wanting more resources and they really don't take stock of what they already have. And so it's about this process of helping people and helping leaders to get great understanding. And once you get great understanding, you get direction how to move forward.
Right. Okay. And if I may ask, like, when the data says that this idea is kind of done, how do you help the founder or maybe the professionals grieve quite well and redirect the momentum without losing the identity?
Yeah, and I think, I think the first piece is really refreshing the identity, because most of the time the identity before the results is really not as clear as it should be. And so the unfortunate thing is we get the identity confused with the results, and we make the results the identity, which in reality, the results are not the identity, right? So the key is separating the identity from the results, because the results don't determine who you are. The results only determine what you were thinking, where your head was at, what actions did you take. And so that's how you help people to grieve. Separate their identity from the results. Avik, this is the problem that I had when I went into depression, right? So my results were telling me that I wasn't a good speaker. I wasn't a good trainer. My content was not valid, etc. So that's because I had connected my identity to the results. And so when I went through this process, I had to become really, really aware that my identity is not a reflection of my results. I am created in the image of God. And so God has created me, and everything that he's created is good. And I was created for a good work. Well, what happened was my good work was misaligned with my purpose. So that's where my confusion came in. And I think a lot of listeners out there that may be their confusion, right? Because they're connecting their identity to their results, when your identity need to be connected to God, and then God connects you to your purpose. And now your purpose, working your purpose, and that should drive your results.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So I understand when people are challenging with that, and they're having to go through that grieving process. And so, it's important for people to find that grace that God gives us all. And when we receive that grace, now his grace helps us to realign with the purpose that he's given us. And then that's what we have to lock in on and focus on that. And then once we do that, your actions driven from your purpose will drive all of your results. And so one of the things I tell my clients sometimes, and people are asking me for, they want all of these results. And I tell them up front that, okay, these are the results you want, but let's back up and look at the input, right? So the outcome is going to be determined by the input. And so if your input is focused on, I have to get these results, I have to get these results, I don't do anything to get the results. When you get the outcome, it's really going to deteriorate your identity. So if you start with the input of, you know what, this is my purpose, this is what I do, and no matter what the results say, I will take that result and I will learn from it, and we'll keep getting better. And that's how the momentum is created, right? The momentum is created by you keep evolving, but you have to be involved to evolve.
Amazing.
Yes. Yes.
This was an electric one, I would say. I have no words. Electric, it's just came into my mind immediately. It's just the electric episode. And yes, dear listeners, we have covered the first domino, honest reframing, and I would say the clarity trifecta, the team momentum and the art of bouncing forward. So for every one of you who are listening, right, pick one tiny action that you will repeat for the 7 days. Name one belief about your setback that you are willing to upgrade. Share one win with someone today. Momentum loves witnesses, right? So if today's conversation helped, pass it to a friend who needs a nudge, and grab the momentum mindset, how to turn setbacks into success to go deeper. And Dr. Samuel, if someone wants to connect with you, what is the great medium to connect?
Absolutely. So I'm on LinkedIn as Dr. Samuel Jones, Facebook. We do some Instagram. And Avik, and this is one thing that I'll share with your listeners as well. One of the things that I realized is that I wanted to scale my work. And before I could scale my work, I had to come to the realization that I was scattered. And so I had myself all over the place. And so what I've done now is I've scaled back in order to scale up. And so I would encourage your listeners, you may be, broadening and widening yourself in so many different areas. And I would encourage you to scale yourself back so you can scale up. And so you do that by just minimizing and pruning some things and really getting aligned with who you are, what your purpose is, and the results that you say you want, and just pursue it. So.
Exactly. So, dear listeners, what I'll do is I'll put all the links into the show notes for easy reference. And with this hope, this is your host Avik, and this is Healthy Mind, Healthy Life, where insight becomes action. So until next time, remember that you were one small move away from a very different we, right? So have a great day ahead, and please take care. So thank you so much.